Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in to another live edition of Alaska Weather. I'm David Percy. On the morning advisory charts, nothing going on. Pretty calm weather pattern here across much of the state. There were some pretty gusty winds here over the northern southeast coast, up to 50 miles an hour there through Lynn Canals reported at Eldred Rock, but not enough to light up any wind advisories other than small craft advisories for the marine areas there, but pretty tranquil. See up to the north, not even any wind or winter type advisories even along the Arctic coast or out here in the Bering Sea. There is a dense fog advisory out for the greater Anchorage area due to return tonight and last through tomorrow morning until about noontime, the way it looks right now. So later tonight, I expect that fog to reform again that we saw in areas of the city today. And looking at the satellite imagery, yesterday we had a front sort of work its way into the interior, the main flow south to north here, but the pattern spinning those inland really weakening. Most of the rainfall down here over the Bristol Bay area, with some areas of snow on up to the north, and the freezing rain there up over the northwest part of the state in areas. Another band here, this actually cold front trying to come inland. Upper level center right in here, the core of the cold air there, pushing eastward up to the Alaska Peninsula. And then farther out to the west, big storm bringing storm force winds into the western Aleutians there, right across Shimei with gusts up to 70 miles an hour. And that mostly also coming northward. It did work its way eastward a little bit here. You can see a little bit farther to the east than it was yesterday, but again, the main flow right up to the north into Russia. Another couple of waves forming on that will continue to scoot up the frontal boundary there and hold it back to the west, and the whole thing there weakening as it comes eastward, and most of it will just lift north right into Russia. The first front really broken up here as it came across south central Alaska. That just brought some mid and high level clouds in late or early this morning, late last night, early this morning. That kept the temperatures up a little more, allowed them to recover from the values they would have fallen if that hadn't happened at all. But actually some light snow and flurries occurring through the central interior, especially up into the Koyukuk Valley, Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast there. This one here has some areas of snow with it. Back over Bristol Bay, especially around the Kilbrook Mountains, that's where the heaviest amounts are. But even those, probably nothing more than 1 or 2 inches, and to a certain extent back over the Yukon Delta. Some snow showers back behind, scattered snow showers coming in the Alaska Peninsula. That now has left the eastern Aleutians, high pressure building in there. And pretty nice day here. These clouds exiting the southeast coast, that did bring a few skiffs of snow into the Annette area this morning as those passed on through. Only about 1/100 of an inch water equivalent, so it was a light dusting of snow, nothing very significant at all. And breaking out here over the Aleutians, pretty nice day there. And then this front, still some stiff south winds with that, mainly west of Adak, just a breeze here over the Adak-Atka areas, a breeze as far as conditions out there for this time of year would be, but still some gales with that out to the west, but that whole thing again moving northward and weakening. You can see the tighter gradient here, west, mostly west of Adak, but the front just getting past Shimei out there. Rain and snow and those milder south winds in that area with temperatures in the 30s. Scattered snow showers here over the Alaska Peninsula areas, really hit and miss as you head up toward the Pribilof Islands there, with high pressure nosed and wedged right up the west coast, right behind this weakening band of moisture. And again, the flurries with this one, dry, mostly sunny either side of that, becoming mostly sunny here over Cook Inlet. And all the way down looks like into Kodiak Island. Then a lot of sun, fair skies here, breezy northeast winds drying it out and blowing the low clouds and fog away over much of the southeast coast. And that's going to continue tonight. You see just clear skies here all along the southeast coast, all the way back up into the eastern interior once again. Could see a little bit of wind, maybe 15 to 25 miles an hour, say around Seward, Resurrection Bay. Out of the north, higher gusts possible, but that's about it. And that pattern all along the North Gulf Coast and the channeled areas there. Again, windiest here over the Lynn Canal Glacier Bay areas on down into Stevens Passage with those northeast winds, lighter down to the south. And then just some leftover moisture here over the interior, mostly in the form of clouds. A few flurries lingering up there, northern Koyukuk Valley to the central Brooks Range locations, but not bad out along the coast. High pressure here over the Seward Peninsula, dry, light winds in that area right through the eastern Bering Sea, and then still a lot of showers in the form of snow showers going on for the Aleutian Range and Alaska Peninsula areas. That due to a system that shows up much better in the upper air than it does here at the surface, but some of that moisture will continue up to the north, maybe a few flurries farther to the north and along the Kilbrook Mountain areas. A chance of some snow, light snow at times, nothing significant, say for the King Salmon or Dillingham areas. Just variable clouds for Kodiak Island. But watching this next band of moisture here is that upper level low will eventually latch on to some of this moisture from the southern branch of the jet coming northward. And that should begin to increase the chances of rain tomorrow. We bounce through that and to a bigger extent here Sunday night. And then on Monday, look for some gale force winds, significant increase in the winds here along with the rain. Looks like tomorrow afternoon, just a chance of rain will reach southern Kodiak Island. So we should stay dry until tomorrow night when that moisture moves up there. And then kind of starting out as a snow changing to rain condition there, especially along the Pacific side of the peninsula, kind of mixed, and then some areas of snow maybe pulling down into the Unalaska and Nikolsky areas, possibly reaching the Pribilofs, just northeast winds and snow showers of that area, back out into the central Aleutians, and the high pressure now retreated out to the western Aleutians with dry conditions in over the interior, both tomorrow and for Monday, and that'll extend right on down into the northern panhandle areas. A little bit more gradient here, so look for those winds, probably looking at some gale force winds here over the northern inside waters, and maybe even 20, 25 knot winds over the southern areas with higher gusts throughout the entire area there. Looks like under small craft advisory for the most part there, but could see some stronger outflow winds from the bays there on the north coast. But otherwise, south central Alaska, look for a general increase in the clouds, a little bit more clouds tomorrow than today, and then probably going overcast here with possibility of some rain or rain and snow mix. Seldovia into Homer, over toward Kamishak Bay, but I think it'll stay south of, say, a line from Kenai to Port Allsworth. Southward, just some clouds to the north, clearing out up the valley, mostly clear, sunshine over the interior. Again, light winds, maybe picking up a little bit here over to the east, say around Delta Junction, areas like that that normally see the windier conditions when you get higher pressure over the Yukon and lower pressure back to the west. High pressure up on the Arctic coast, keeping winds light and variable there, and hopefully skies mostly clear with VFR conditions. But not bad up through the Bering Strait, mostly VFR, some patchy low stuff possibly through the strait, up into the Chukchi, but looking really good here even over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta areas, up the mid-valleys right into the central interior. Temperatures today mostly in the 30s here over the Panhandle, mildest down to the south, but still upper 30s. And that's Skagway with 41, gusty northeast winds there. Juneau at 33 degrees. Cordova 36, which was the same temperature they reported at Middleton Island. Seward 38, breezy north winds up to about 20 miles an hour there. 22 in Anchorage, 26 Kenai, but up to 37 down at Homer. Lower 40s for Kodiak Island, Copper River Basin, right around 4 degrees there in Gulkana. The Susitna Valley, temperatures were in the mid-20s here at Talkeetna and Wasilla. Denali Park, 24 degrees. Again, the higher elevations, warmer air aloft, still from the cooler surface temperatures of 5 at Nenana and 15 at Fairbanks. 11 degrees Delta Junction. Tanana had 12. And mid to upper teens here through the Koyukuk Valley, 0 at Fort Yukon. And the cold spot was 15 below at Arctic Village, and they had the state's low this morning of minus 27, but 18. More clouds in this area, and again, the areas of light snow. So well above 0 there, up to 25, mid-20s here through the west central part of the state, and lower 20s up along the Arctic coast there, but Kaktovik at 9, and 10 degrees over at Shishmaref. Otherwise, looks like that's either Deering or Buckland pushed up to 39. These are all 4 p.m. temperatures. 22 at Nome, and right at the freeze point out there at Savunga. Upper 20s along the coastline out here to lower to mid 30s over the inland areas, with Bethel at 30 degrees, 33 both at St. Paul and St. George, mid to upper 30s out over the Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula as well. Get into the lower 30s up over northeast Bristol Bay, again under the cloud cover and snow showers. Lows tonight, well below 0 again up over the Yukon Flats and up into the Arctic Village area. Probably as cold as what you saw tonight, unless some of this moisture should happen to slide eastward, and then you'd be a little bit milder. But near or just below freezing here over the southwest coast, Bristol Bay coastline, with teens and 20s up over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. A little cooler now down into single numbers for the Seward Peninsula, and teens to 20s to maybe some lower 30s over the southern panhandle. Lower 30s out over the Aleutians. For the highs tomorrow, staying below 0 in areas here, Arctic Village down in the Yukon Flats, but Fort Yukon about like today, right around 0 for the high, and 20s to lower 30s, south central Alaska, and mostly in the teens for the Copper River Basin, while the southeast coast, temperatures from the lower 30s in the north to upper 30s in the south again. Near 40 for Kodiak, 30s for the Bristol Bay area and Alaska Peninsula. Look for the same conditions for the Pribilofs and mid 30s along the entire Aleutian chain. For flying weather, VFR here from the southeast coast all the way up into the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, all of the interior looking really good tomorrow. Mostly VFR, again some patchy areas of IFR due to morning low clouds and fog, but that should burn off by noon. And up again, this area marginal stuff, that moisture over the northern Koyukuk Valley, maybe extending up to Anatuvik, and then some more IFR possibly showing up along the eastern Arctic coast. But VFR to the west, VFR from the Chukchi Sea all the way down into Bristol Bay, and much of the Bering Sea looking pretty good. Just some patchy areas of marginal VFR, and then marginal VFR at the snow here along the Alaska Peninsula to the north side of the eastern Aleutians, and then some of this IFR will begin to slide northward throughout the day tomorrow and begin to increase here along the south coast of Kodiak Island over to Chignik, maybe as far down as Sand Point, but some good VFR out in the west, and then lingering lower stuff way out to the west. Passes looking really good. Again, Anatuvik, some of that moisture on the southern approach may keep it marginal, but through the pass into the north, VFR. Adigan, go optimistic forecast to say VFR there. Lake Clark and Merrill definitely will be VFR tomorrow, as will be rainy. Windy looking really good, VFR coming up. And Isabel VFR, Mentasta VFR, both tomorrow and the next day. And for, let's see, Tanita up next, VFR next 2 days. And for Portage, again, starting out with some low stuff on either entrance tomorrow, and then probably both sides going VFR by midday, and Chilkoot and White both look VFR. Freezing levels tomorrow morning, late tonight, tomorrow morning, 2,000 feet. Just reaching the eastern Aleutians maybe, with the surface a little farther to the north, and hugs the coastline all the way around. And looking at the icing threats, not a whole lot, none over the interior, maybe some lingering in the form of rime and mixed type icing of the light variety. Anything moderate will be pretty isolated, and that could extend out to the eastern Aleutians. Some more icing with that frontal boundary out to the west, but everywhere else icing free and no problems. Looking at the upper level wind flow chart, again, westerly jet here taking a turn to the north, so that holding that system out to the west here. And then that upper level system along the Alaska Peninsula, certainly creeping over toward Kodiak. That's eventually the southern branch is going to feed some moisture up into this. It will begin to pull back to the west a little bit, and that'll spread the rain back up into the Alaska Peninsula, well, as early as sometime tomorrow afternoon to Kodiak Island in the south side of the peninsula, or as late as Monday morning for those areas. And otherwise, a big area, high pressure aloft, keeping the remainder of the state dry. For the northeast winds at 9,000 feet, they'll be up to 20 to 25 knots here in a band from the southwest coast up into the central interior, lighter up under the high, lighter to the south. Easterlies, northeasterlies 10 to 20 for the panhandle. Same thing out here over the Aleutians, and light right under the ridge axis at 3,000 feet. Again, see that band right through the interior here at about 20 to 25 knots. Light and variable up under the high center out there. Northeast, maybe 20 knots along the eastern Aleutians from Bristol Bay down in toward Atka. And very light northeast drift here along the North Gulf Coast. Southern Alaska, 15 to 20 knots there across the panhandle. And with that offshore flow, look for mechanical turbulence below 5,000 feet there along the panhandle up in toward the Wrangell Mountains, Copper River Basin, mostly the east side, and some areas of light to moderate turbulence here over the interior, but nothing too significant. And then showing up along the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians, increasing tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
We've just driven through 10 months of winter. The daylight's coming back, it's warming up. Everybody's got a little bit of cabin fever. And what do we throw in front of them? 18 hours of daylight, a pair of skis, and some fun activities.
Nano Nordic is the story of what happens when cross-country skiers from all over, Olympians, World Cup racers, university and high school coaches, share their sport with remote Alaska.
In 2011, I finished my season and I had 2 days to pack up for the trip. And to be honest, I didn't know what I was really getting myself into.
After the ski program left last year, the kids wanted to continue skiing and they missed not having that activity.
300 pairs of boots, poles, and skis were sent to the far north, above the Arctic Circle, to Kotzebue and the 10 surrounding villages. Located in northwest Alaska, the Inupiaq have lived in what is called the nanoregion for more than 10,000 years. Transportation is by snow machine and airplane. Nordic skiing has not been a part of this northern culture, but that is changing. Despite their remoteness, the nanoregion villages are busy with the activity of daily life. And for children, school.
Good morning, Katu School. The temperature outside today is 14 below zero. Today, Nano Nordic will be visiting all the gym classes. Now on to your morning announcements.
The month of April, with 18 hours of sunlight, is perfect for cross-country skiing. Volunteer coaches taught the students a new way to enjoy the world just outside their door.
The volunteers come from all sorts of backgrounds. We have recreational skiers, we have competitive skiers, and we also have Olympians.
Good afternoon. We just flew in from Anchorage and we're here with...
It's really awesome to see them take up something new that may be challenging at first and just to succeed at it, and they have a lot of fun together, and it's something that's real positive and it's really healthy for them.
Our kids are really active and they enjoy being active. They would much rather do that than sit at home playing video games if there's somebody offering it.
Skiing feels kind of like swimming because you could feel the smooth air going across your face.
The students spent 5 days learning to ski, during school and after school. The emphasis was on fun and exploring the land.
Kids respond really well to skiing. I mean, a lot of them are maybe a little timid, a little afraid at the start. They learn that they're capable of doing these things that they didn't think they were capable of doing before.
You go right, left, and you can go as fast as you can, as slow as you can, and you could take your time.
We would like to have skiing as a school activity. It would be great to have a ski club up here, and we love to ski, and hopefully the communities enjoy skiing as well.
40 coaches, 1,500 students, 100 adults, 440 hours of coaching. Nana Nordic's goal is simple: introduce students and communities to cross-country skiing, a fitting sport for the place they call home and the world beyond.
Welcome back. Winds will be brisk, up to 25 knots with higher gusts over the northern and central inside waters. This will keep the skies clear and temperatures cool. Lighter winds out along the coastline, only 10 to 15 knots, with some higher gusts coming out of the bays there. And then that'll increase, especially here up over the north with more gradient there. So 25 higher gusts, but more easterly, 15 knots on down the coastline. And look for some gales again here for Lincoln Island Glacier Bay over the northern areas down into Stevens Passage. 25 knots, give or take, here through the central areas, and then about 20 down to the south to Dixon Entrance. For south central Alaska, Cook Inlet, northeast, 10 knots, all the way down into Shelikof Strait, and then winds remaining easterly and 15 knots here for the North Gulf Coast to Kodiak Island. Northeast winds, quite light there, but again, stronger gusts out of the channeled areas here. Again, like Resurrection Bay, could see 20 knots to 22 knots there tomorrow. And then for Monday, not much change here, maybe 20 knots, a little bit of an increase, up to 25 knots there for Kodiak Island. Out of the east, all those areas. Northeast 20 now, Shelikof Strait, but dropping back to 10 knots once you get north of the Forelands and into the northern areas toward Knik Arm. For Bristol Bay, northeast 15, picking up to 20 knots there down the coastline. Northeast 20 from Sitkinak all the way down to Cape Sarachev. Looking at Monday's outlook here, northeasterlies at about 25. So small craft advisories here on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Gale warnings on the south side with 40-knot winds here from, say, Chignik all the way down to Cape Sarachev. And for the Aleutians, northeasterlies 20 knots for the Fox Islands, just 15-knot winds from the east-northeast for the Adak-Atka area, lighter easterlies out to the west. And then those will swing around to the northwest here, but stay light on Monday, north 15 to 20 knots, and then the small craft advisories and strongest winds will be here over the eastern Aleutians in that 25 to 30 knot range. For the southwest coast, 15 to 20 knot northeasterlies through here tomorrow. Light variable winds under high pressure for St. Lawrence Island. So pretty light wind day coming up there again, and easterlies to southeast at about 15 for the northern Bering Sea. And for the Pribilofs, northeast at about 20 knots. And then for Monday, 15 knots from the northeast. here from St. Lawrence Island down into the northern Bering Sea. That'll pick up to about 20 knots there for the Pribilofs, and winds east coming up to 20 knots from Cape Newenham up to Nunivak Island, but pretty light on the north side of the island there. For the Arctic coast, winds pretty light up there as well. Westerlies are variable to west, 5 to 10 knots. Southwest for the central coast. Then they become a little more southerly here, but only 10 to 15 knots across the Chukchi Sea. And then those become easterly in most areas, but remain light here. 15 knots maybe here, Point Lay to Wainwright, but really laying down kind of a easterly drift there for the central coast. And could call it dead calm for the entire stretch of the coastline there on the east side. For tonight, again, got some lingering snow showers, a lot of clouds and scattered snow showers in through here. Some areas could see very minor accumulations, mostly over the mountains, like the Kilbrook mountain areas, maybe spotty areas of the peninsula, so nothing really significant. Leftover flurries up here in the north central part of the state, but pretty clear and breezy, again continuing there for the windy areas of the southeast coast. Otherwise, high pressure keeping this system way out to the west, and will continue to push it out to the west and north over the next couple of days. And then for tomorrow, again, looking for the clouds to increase, chance of rain also late in the day, and that'll continue overnight tomorrow night. It looks like by Monday, rain will be definitely onto the Kodiak Island area, with clouds spreading in over south central Alaska. Again, the gale force winds here on the Pacific side of the peninsula from Sitkinak out to Cape Saratchev, and small craft advisories in this area to the north. Otherwise, a little bit more wind possibly here for the northern southeast coast, and a tad breezier for the southern areas, but continued dry and cool through Monday.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.